I came about it from the perspective of I wanted to really understand why I disagreed with abortion. What were my basic tenets of that, but not just for the baby, for the mom. Why I don't think abortion is the answer for the mom either. Mm-hmm. And it was through that I started thinking about, okay, what are the answers we're offering them instead? And wait a minute, some of the same themes I don't like about abortion for the mom show up with adoption for the mom. And I had to really start thinking through, wait, so if I'm saying abortion tells a mom that she can't parent, she's not capable, she finances are a problem, or whatever, is adoption for all those same reasons telling her the same thing, she can't parent. And so that's how I started to come to this conclusion, was from looking at it from the mom's perspective. And for people who don't know or maybe didn't see the episode, I've had an abortion in my past, so that's part of how I come to these conclusions too, is what did it do for me? What did it not do for me? What were the pros and cons of it? Regardless of whether I think it's ethical or not, there are pros, right. There are cons. And so what are all of those things? Same with adoption. What are the pros and cons? So and I come from a mental health perspective as well. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I work with all reproductive related issues. So I work with pre and post abortive moms and pre and post adoptive bio parents and adoptive parents and children that have been adopted. So it comes from all of that perspective as well. So I just want to give people that background too. And it really, like you said, it wasn't an easy thing, and it's not an easy thing to talk about in general with people, because I think people naturally feel like, but it's such a beautiful thing. And it can be. And like I was talking with Josh, it's not that I think it should never happen. I just think we need to be really careful about how it happens. Mm-hmm. So I hope we'll tease some of that out in our conversation.
Yeah, well, we're certainly on the same page there. And I really like how in conversations that you and I have had, how we want to empower the birth mom and say, you are capable of doing this. You can do this. You're not stupid. You're not an idiot. You're not some kind of invalid who just can't do this. You're actually capable, and you're smart, and you can be a mom. You can be a great mom if that's what you want to choose to do and move forward. But don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it for some reason because of your status somehow, or your capabilities. Most of the time that's our own worst enemy is ourselves, and we're telling ourselves that, and we just don't want to be a part of that. We don't want to be a part of that negative conversation you're having with yourself saying that you can't do this, because I think that just about everybody can. Mm-hmm. So I think it's cool. We're on that kind of same page, and it's something that I really hadn't considered. I came to it, and we talked about this just a minute ago, I came to it because it just wasn't working at the clinic. It just seemed weird to the people. And after, kind of hearing you talk about these reasonings, it started kind of making sense. Maybe some of that barrier that I was putting up, one of those walls I was putting up in our conversation, was I was implying by bringing up adoption that you're not capable, that the best thing you can do is not have this child, which is the same thing the abortion industry is telling. And I don't want any part of that. And kind of realizing, okay, I'm taking part of this by suggesting you should have an adoption, or you should gift your child an adoption, is implying that you're not capable of doing this. And wow, I'm glad that I've realized it so I can stop doing it. But it is one of those things where we tell people you're going to fail, you're going to make mistakes. This is one of mine. I wish I had not have brought up adoption like I did in the past. I think it costs conversations and costs a lot of effectiveness that I probably could have had out on the clinic, at the clinic sidewalk. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we've all got things that we wish we had done differently. And as pro-lifers and just people in general, right? And so I've had a lot of my work in the last 2 years in the pro-life movement is really understanding the pro-choice movement and understanding abortion-minded women. And maybe it's because I share that wound with other women who have had abortions, but I really want to understand that place. And everybody's got their own story. So I can't like say all women were like me and how they ended up in their abortion. But I can say statistically, when we look at what research is done, and I'm not saying all the research done is good methodology or applicable, generalizable to an entire population, but the research we do have shows that women who are denied abortion don't become bad moms or incapable moms. They actually turn out to be really good moms, typically. And women that are denied abortion overwhelmingly become more pro-life because they're grateful once their mom's born. And so I think there's this like cognitive disconnect between how could a woman choose abortion over adoption? Why would she rather have a dead baby than a alive baby just that she doesn't have to care about? And I think that's this idea of like she just doesn't want to care about a baby. And I don't think most women choose abortion because they just don't want a baby. It's not choosing no child, it's choosing no crisis. So whatever crisis she feels she's in is what she wants out of. She doesn't want out of the child, she wants out of the crisis.
Well said.
Yeah. So I think it's hard for people to understand, well, why would she choose abortion then? You're offering her the life of her child, but because giving away your child is painful.
Right.
When you
another crisis.
Right, it's another crisis. Now, there are a very small percentage of people that just like don't want kids and are very adverse to kids or antinatalist or some extreme like kids are horrible. And yeah, like we should take their children and give them to people that want to raise children. But that's a very small amount. And I don't mean take them that we against their will. But if they don't want to raise their child, yes, we should help them find a home that does. But that's a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of women that are seeking abortions. The majority of them are seeking them out of crisis. And I think it's easy to listen to the rhetoric and slogans and all the propaganda back and forth and a lot of the shout your abortion type of stuff. Sounds like, oh, they're so happy. They're so glad. And really, if you listen to the shout your abortion messages, it's all around the crisis averted. It's not like, yay, I just don't have a kid. It's, oh, I'm not in poverty anymore. Or, oh, I was able to go back to college. Or, oh, I was able to escape this abuser. Like, it's all about the crisis they averted, not about, like, I'm just so grateful I don't have a kid.
Right.
I'm an expert on licensed counseling. And I would say I'm afraid of what people are hearing from women who are considering abortion walking in are one of two types of women. One, really scared and really don't want the abortion, and there are other things that they need to hear other than adoption because they really don't want it. They're just really scared. Or a really militant, no, abortion is fine, it's a woman's choice, and it doesn't matter what the circumstances, I don't owe you any explanation, and therefore nothing you tell her regarding adoption is going to change her mind. So that's, and maybe my perception of what women look like walking into the clinic is wrong because I don't do sidewalk counseling, but that's kind of my perception of what that would look like. So I think directing women to other options, or just like, hey, do you want to have a longer conversation about this, which shouldn't happen necessarily on a sidewalk in front, out in the open. Can we get you to a pregnancy resource center? Can we get you to a counselor, an unbiased counselor? Do you know who those are in your area? The counselors that are going to be really ethical and not counsel her one way or another, but pros and cons about the situation. Is that a better option? So that's the perspective I'm coming from. I want to also say there's nothing special about Robin that makes Robin inherently capable of doing this and somebody else not inherently capable of doing this. Like you said, it is just practice. I went through it in college, and I've been doing counseling for 16 years and using it every single day in counseling. It is not the only counseling technique I use. Wow. So learning this is not going to make you a counselor, but it is the number one tool that we use just to have conversation in counseling.
Really?
Yes. It also is a really helpful tool for parenting. Just throw that out there. But so learning this is not going to be just for the sidewalk. But I also want to address something that I think I kind of made this connection about a year ago too, with there's this inherent like anxiety and doing any kind of evangelism, whether it's pro-life or Christian evangelism, of like lives are on the line. And I feel responsible for lives being on the line. And there's this inherent anxiety of like, I'm not going to have enough time. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to explain this. I'm not going to, like, we have to kind of roll that back with, you are only responsible for your words and your actions. If the other person walks away from you, you did not fail. They just chose a different path than you would have chose for them. And so really trying to manage your own anxiety in that moment of like, if I try this new thing and they walk away, it's ruined. Like, no. You are not responsible for their decisions. You are there trying to offer assistance. We are all imperfect. Even I don't do every counseling session perfectly. I don't talk to every abortion-minded person perfectly. Like, it's okay. You're only responsible for you.
Yeah. And for my Christian brothers and sisters out there, I just want to say, God does not call you to perfection. He calls you to be faithful. And I'll even go so far as to say, you will make mistakes. You will mess up. And that's okay. How you process that is really important. We talk about this in the course. You need to process it in a way that's like, okay, I made a mistake. That's okay. I'm human. I make mistakes. And I'm going to make a note of that, practice it. I might make that same mistake again, but I'm going to keep learning from it and moving forward to become better at what I'm doing. Guarantee you, Robin is a much better counselor after 16 years of doing it than the first week she was doing it.
Oh, for sure. I need to send out apology letters. So also, you can do everything perfectly and they can still choose abortion.
Absolutely.
Because it's really, I think it's part of the pro-life movement I don't love is this idea of like, I saved a baby. No. The mom chose that baby. So I might have been a partner with her in that, but that was all on her. So I'm not responsible for either choice, whether it's life or not. That is not my responsibility.
Yeah. And I've had days where I feel like I did everything close to perfect. Like the right pause, the right words, the right everything. And they turned and walked in and had the abortion. I'm like, I don't. And then I've had days where I can't talk clearly. I'm stumbling over my words. My body posture feels all wrong. And I know I'm not saying the right things and I'm not making any sense. And the person chooses not to have the abortion. Like, thank you so much for talking to me. I'm like, I didn't say anything cohesive. And so, you know, you can't put this stuff on yourself. Some days you're going to mess everything up and it still works out. And some days you're going to feel like you did everything right and it doesn't work out. And it's not on you. You want to keep doing the best you can to be faithful and learn as much as you can and apply those things and move forward from there.
Yeah, I love how you said too that there's not a script and it's not cookie cutter how this is done, because if you are going to do motivational interviewing, when you're joining them in that place, it has to be authentic, right? So the part of me that has felt fear about anything needs to connect with the part of them that's feeling fear. And my whole kind of overall philosophy of abortion is it's fear. Everything boils down to fear. And people will say, oh, but what if they're just choosing an abortion because they just want to finish college? There's still a fear there. There's a fear they won't be able to finish or they won't be successful. Everything. Fear is a huge motivator. The only thing that I know that overcomes fear is love. That's the only thing I know that overcomes fear. So can you tap into your own fear and love them in that place?